Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, continuing our discussion with Dr. Nassef. Now, sir, it's such a great project, the Ras Al Hikmah deal with the UAE, but in order to create some sort of a domino effect that would actually boost the Egyptian economy, not having it as a band-aid on a crack in the wall, a lot of talk about the private sector trying to increase its involvement from 60% to 90% from the year 2024 to 2030. Now, is this enough? I mean, we're talking about a lot of initiatives, the Mashru'ak, your project initiative, which is really lent about £200 million for over 800 projects helping the small and medium enterprises. But what is this increase by that we're expecting to reach 90% of the Egyptian economy run by the private sector? Is it realistic? Is it feasible? What can be done to actually start a pacey domino effect for the Egyptian economy?
I think the key solution, said in one sentence, for the Egyptian economy, in one sentence, we need to fix our balance of trade. To put it in layman's terms, we're importing much more than what we're exporting, which means that every year we have a deficit in this balance of trade that puts pressure on our resources. Okay. The direct answer to your question, I think private sector is more efficient by nature and by definition, and more effective and much faster. And most of the economies of the world are not built on the large multinationals and the large projects. They're built on the SMEs, the small and medium enterprises. So yes, the Egyptian economy needs to have a strong SMEs base, and this is how even the US, which is the largest economy in the world, is built like such. But, and this is a big but, and again, this is probably one of the things that I think we all learned from this crisis that we went in. And it's okay to learn from your crisis, so hopefully to be able to fix it and understand where the gaps are. Previously, again, in previous eras, we were told that most of the country foreign resources are being imported for pet food and totally luxurious items. Actually, this is not particularly correct. Because we have a very superficial industry in Egypt. What does this mean? It means that most of our industries have very little value added locally, mostly cheap labor, and cheap utilities and reasonable price of land. So if you look at a bottle of juice that you buy locally, and we think we have a juice industry in Egypt, you find that we're importing juice concentrate depending on the flavor, but some from Brazil, some from Far East. And then you're importing the laminate, which becomes the box later on, mostly from Scandinavia, that they have this technology, and then you're importing the machines. So basically what you do, you bring these concentrates, you add water to them, a bit of sugar maybe, and then you pack them in these individual boxes or packs, and using Egyptian labor and electricity in Egypt, and then you sell them. 70–80% of the cost of the components, what we call the COGS, or the cost of goods sold, is actually imported. So it's very normal when President Biden, and I'm not talking secrets, this is available in all media, when President Biden came into power, he printed literally almost 2.5 trillion US dollars, which caused huge inflation, but that was his political reason. But somehow, because we are depending on this currency, it fired back on us. And we imported the the inflation when we were importing our raw materials. And because the majority across so many different sectors of industry, the majority of our raw materials are imported, we got hit pretty badly. And actually, this is one of the key reasons why we have such hyperinflation nowadays. The Central Bank of Egypt did not go haywire and he started printing money like crazy and all of a sudden our money supply went through the roof. No, 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 this is not the case. It's because of the importation and because we are so dependable or depending on imported raw material that we got hit so badly. Okay, so what is the solution? The solution is, again, in a very simple way, put in a very simple way, is to have more profound industry, is to go what we call the vertical integration, whereby you have control over a largest part of the raw material or the components, not necessarily raw material, a component of your industry. Mm-hmm. I'll give you another example. For example, cigarettes manufacturing. In Egypt, we have local manufacturing that is very important. The manufacturing of tobacco, I don't know why, mm-hmm. but it is prohibited in Egypt from the 1800s. So all the tobacco, and Egyptians do consume a lot of tobacco, is imported. So when the foreign currency that you import tobacco with price increases, when the price of the tobacco itself on top increases, so it adds insult to injury if you want, your cost goes through the roof. Solution is somehow we need to find a way to be able, maybe not 100%, but somehow gradually get into that.
And amend laws.
That's one of them. Same story for, again, cooking oil. Mm-hmm. We're importing, I don't remember the number exactly, but over 90% for sure, maybe 95, maybe 92% of our oils. When you have the two largest producers of sunflower oil going into war, Russia and Ukraine, guess what? Mm-hmm. You suffer. And again, oil is actually a very simple industry. It's not very complex. It's not electronics or something. You bring the thing, you see it's okay. Yeah. Obviously mm-hmm. other, but it's not such a difficult industry to have. And you're not even supplying 5% of your needs. So these are the things that we need to think strategically. And what do we need to do? In the sunflower oil, for example, we need probably to start to find a way to have more agricultural lands, to use some of the, to have the raw material of this oil, which is the, and so on and so forth. So I think crisis, again, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Mm-hmm. And I think we're coming out of this crisis much, much stronger than when we went in. We know much more now.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as Dr. Nassef has mentioned, maybe we are learning from a current crisis that we're going through, and one of the steps was the Ras Al Hikmah deal that really helped with our foreign currency reserves so far, and hopefully it will be a very lucrative project for as long as its lifetime resumes. Now, also, as Dr. Nassef mentioned, it's maybe one of the steps, but really strengthening and revitalizing our local industries, our domestic productivity, and really cutting down on the deficits of the balance of trade are key issues and key factors that will help revitalize the Egyptian economy. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this edition of the Daily Debate. But before we go, I'd like to thank my very distinguished guest, Dr. Ahmed Nassef, the international economic and strategic management expert. Dr. Nassef, it was a pleasure having you with us.
Pleasure is all.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for more coming up on Night International. I'm Nassef1. Thank you for joining us.